Hey guys, what's up? It's Jay. Welcome back to Jay versus Horror. Today I got 5 free movies for you, and these are 5 underrated Italian giallo films that you can watch for free, and you're gonna love them. Now, you can't really talk about giallos without talking about Argento and Fulci. Any top 10 list is probably gonna be pretty heavy with those guys. So we're gonna stay away from the major titles that those guys did, and we're only gonna do 2 movies from those guys. We're gonna spread it out a little bit. So let's get started. Our first movie is from Lucio Fulci, and it is titled Seven Notes in Black from 1977. It's also titled The Psychic. The first time I saw it, it was titled The Psychic. This is one of my favorite mystery thriller type films, and I think when you watch this movie, I don't really want to talk about it too much because there's several different twists in the film. I'll tell you this: it's about a woman who starts to have premonitions of a murder when she moves into a new house. You're gonna see influences of this movie later on, and even things like The Changeling and Stir of Echoes and things like that. But this is the first time I remember it being really done well, and I think for me, this is probably even my second favorite Lucio Fulci film, and he's got a bunch. He's got at least 4 or 5 good Giallo films, and then several that aren't quite as good, and then so many great monster films. But in all, yeah, Seven Notes in Black is probably my second favorite Lucio Fulci film. And as always, guys, I'm going to give you the links to all these films in the description below. So if you want to check them out, just click the link. Go watch it anytime you want to. So let's move on. Our next film is from Dario Argento, and it's from 1993. So this is one of his later ones. It's called Trauma. And basically, the deal with Argento is he starts out with the bird and the crystal plumage, the bird with the crystal plumage in '72, I believe. And a lot of people still argue that that's his best film. Some people say Tenebrae, some people say Deep Red, some people say Suspiria. The dude made a lot of great films, and so you look at that era from '72 about to like '87, where he made Opera, or some people call it Terror at the Opera, and those were like his really prime years where he made the best films. But he didn't fall off too much after that. In '93, this film comes out, Trauma, and I think it's a little under celebrated. It's a pretty cool movie. It's got a really good twist to it at the end, um, and it's got an interesting killer. The killer has a little sawzall machine that he sticks around somebody's head and just beheads everyone in this movie. Basically, it's pretty awesome. Also, Brad Dourif stops by in this. Asia Argento's in it. I think that's why it got pushed back a little bit. Because Asia Argento was still pretty young when she made this, and her dad directed it, and there is some sexual stuff in it, so it comes off a little weird, I guess. But these are Italians; they don't care about that kind of stuff, right? And then years later, Asia Argento herself was accused of having inappropriate relationships with younger men. But regardless, it's a good film. Check it out, Trauma from 1993. Okay, guys, let's move on. This one is from 1973, and it's called Torso. Now, this is one that is kind of like a dark horse for people who say, if I was going to pick something that's not Argento, this would be the best. And a lot of people pick Torso, and it's just a basic setup. It almost kind of feels more like a slasher movie, to be honest with you, but it has that giallo quality of the killer in black and also the sleaziness and all that. So you have these co-eds getting murdered, and these 4 girls decide, we got to get out of here. We're not going to sit around and wait to get picked off. So they take off and seclude themselves at a chateau, out in the middle of nowhere. And just so happens the killer's there too. Big surprise, right? Yeah, so it's a great film, though. Great kills in this one. And Sergio Martino, he was one of the more underrated of these guys because he really has a beautiful eye behind the camera, too. Um, it's Torso from 1973. Let's move on, guys. Our next one is this is one of my favorites, and I never hear anybody talk about it. And I had to like look out where to find this one for free because I wanted to add it so bad. Hatchet for the Honeymoon by the great Mario Bava, right? And this one is kind of different because it's not your typical giallo. It starts off with us knowing who the killer is, and the killer is getting dressed, and he's this really suave guy, and he's looking in the bathroom mirror, and he starts narrating the story from the opening scene. Have you ever seen this before? Remind you of anything? Maybe like American Psycho? I'm telling you, when you watch this movie, you're gonna know that American Psycho, I don't care the book, movie, whatever, was inspired or at least had some tie to this story, because they're too close, right? This guy is a maniac, and he's um, tied up with his mother in the Italian bride fashion industry, right? And he is a pure psychopath, and he is very aware of it. And he, just like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, narrates his entire journey here. And we're also left to wonder how much of it is actually real, because we're getting all this, of course, from an unreliable narrator, right? A crazy person. So it's a very fun movie. Shades of Psycho, shades of other things before it, and like I said, it was very, probably, I would imagine, heavily influential on some of today's films like American Psycho or The House That Jack Built, things like that. All right, guys, our last movie we're going to talk about now. This is one where, like, I have this problem. Been talking about movies, horror movies, for 20 years, and some of the ones I started talking about, when you say they're underrated, they're not really underrated anymore, because we've been calling them underrated for so long that everybody went out there and watched them, and now they're talking about them. And so, Stagefright, I don't know how underrated it is, but I know there's a lot of people out there who still haven't seen it, because I still see posts in groups about it all the time. Hey, have you guys seen this one? Yeah, Stagefright from 1987, and it's kind of like a culmination of the Giallo going into the slasher. That's what it is. And what you have here is a guy who is probably a master in his own right, and Mikel Suavi. But the reason why he's so interesting and so, monumental to this subgenre is because Suavi was a student of these films. He worked with everyone. He worked with D'Amato, he worked with Argento, Bava, Fulci. Go up and down the list, and you'll look. He either acted, produced, assistant directed something in tons of these guys' movies before he ever got his own chance to make one. And so he made a few really great movies once he got his turn. The Church, which is Demons 3. And this is probably, his pinnacle movie, Stagefright. And it's a Giallo slasher type film. It's a staged production, a musical almost, about a serial killer that had stalked the local area, and these actors in this play are putting on the show, and then all of a sudden everybody starts dying. And this one is mostly known because it has the absurdity of the killer running around wearing an owl head's mask. And the one thing I always thought about that was, when you see it at first, it seems very ridiculous. But the challenge becomes, can this director still make the movie work with a guy running around wearing an owl head's mask? And yes, he does. It works. It's one of the best, actually. So yeah, check those out, guys. That's 5 free, underrated Italian Giallo films that you can watch for free. And guys, don't sleep on the rest of them. Go to Pluto TV, go to Tubi, go to Freeview, and just look up these movies. There's tons of them, and don't sleep on the greats. If you've never seen Deep Red, Tenebrae, if you've never seen Don't Torture a Duckling, uh, yeah, go watch all of them. I mean, they're free, and you really can't miss with these films. I think most people, once you start watching them, you get a little addicted to them, and you kind of want to see them all. And that's all we got for this week, guys. We will talk to you the next time we got something worth talking about. Bye.